What is up, everybody? State of Skol is back in your shows and on your screens and in your ears. We're back. We made it through the bye week. It's halfway through December already, but the Vikings finally got their bye and we're back on track and we're heading to Vegas. So we are here live on StreamYard to preview the Raiders game. AJ's here. That's me. And Josh, how you doing, man?
I'm great, man. It's good to be back. It was a long week that we had off. Um, the last couple games we had were not so fun. So hopefully, we can fix some things during this bye week and get right back to winning.
Yeah, the last couple games were pretty rough, pretty not fun. That Bears game was gross. We didn't even talk about it because we had some technical difficulties. So sorry to everybody that was looking for an episode from us, but we had a little bit of issues with um, 10K things and whatnot. So, but I mean, hey, I don't think we would have had anything great and fun to say about a 12-10 loss to the Bears anyway. So we'll just pack it up and move on. And you know what? We're rested. We've got a good stretch of games, a decent schedule in front of us. So it's going to be a fun end to the year. Uh,
Yeah, for sure.
Before we get into it, I want to tell you about our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They present this show, they sponsor us, and they're the best. So, Underdog Fantasy in their Pick'em game, just pick higher or lower on your favorite or least favorite player stats. And you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Underdog keeps it super simple with an easy to use website and mobile apps. Pick between 2 and 5 players to fill out your Pick'em entry. Get every pick right and take home some cold hard cash. Use the code 10K and get your first deposit doubled up to $100 by Underdog Fantasy. So Underdog, they'll get you on the deposit match. I mean, just off that alone, like I've been saying all year, you got to do it because that's money back. If you can spare 10, you get 20. If you can spare 20, that's 40. And NBA, we're starting to come into it here. NFL has been a little bit weird, but I feel like with some of the easy stuff, you can snipe it. What I've been doing lately is fantasy scores in big games because the stars more than likely are going to show up and they're going to hit. So
Yep.
that's what we're rocking with.
Yeah. Speaking of big games, we got a big one tonight. Been waiting all week for it. Steelers and Patriots. This should be an interesting football game. But hey, it's football.
Absolute game of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Adrian, I don't know if you've looked at it too much for tonight. I haven't locked in a bet yet. Okay.
All
Um,
right.
I'm going to take the Jalen Warren over 0.5 total yards because that's free.
Duh.
Um, the Patriots only have 3 active wide receivers tonight. Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton, and Minnesota Viking Jalen Reagor. Um,
Wow.
so I was thinking maybe a Hunter Henry play, but that Steelers defense is nice. Bailey Zappi is kind of trash. I don't know. None of these bets are just. It could go either way.
It seems like all the Steelers bets look fine because the Patriots are actually like horrible in dog shit. As far as the Patriots side, I've been seeing a lot of people taking Zeke on some stuff. No Ramondre Stevenson, RIP to my fantasy team. But Zeke, I mean, hey, he's still got a little bit of juice left in the tank. So I think we're gonna see him get in the end zone tonight and get the ball out in the spoon.
Feed Zeke. Feed Zeke. So
Feed that
yeah,
man.
we'll see. I don't know. I'm thinking about taking the Trubisky over on yards, but it's also a Bill Belichick defense. Even though they are, what are they, 2-10? Is that what they are? They're terrible, whatever
Mhm.
the hell they are. I think they're 2-10. But yeah, I don't know if I can bet against that Belichick defense.
This is how the suckers get lured in. Because on Monday, I was like, oh, Bengals Jags, 10-point spread. Like, that's going to be a blowout. I'm not doing shit. And everything that I would have done would have been green bean.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Oh yeah,
like, what? So maybe I have to play all the time. And then, of
yeah,
course, tonight, I'm saying that. And then it's going to.
exactly, exactly.
So, but this is what they want from you, right?
Yeah. But hey, use that code 10K, get 2 times your deposit, and get to work.
Get to work, guys. Like, 20, $40, that'll do you enough. Like, you don't even need to be doing anything crazy. like me last week. Oh my god! I had a 5-man, did 4 scorchers, and then Tyreek, or I had 2 yards, missed by 5,
Mm,
and like 230 off
mm,
5. So
damn.
like just that rush and that craziness is, yeah. But maybe follow up with the hotline if you're too crazy, because we don't want you poured in.
Right.
Um, but moving on here to the Vikings game. So the Vikings coming in off 2 L's, 6-6, 4-2 on the road, which is a good record. The Raiders are also 4-2 at home, so something's got to give there. But they're 5-7. But
Yeah.
they've been cooking up lately. Antonio Pierce is the interim head coach, former Giant, former Super Bowl champion. So he's got those guys fired up and winning some ball games.
Yeah.
As it stands right now, the Vikings are 3-point favorites,
Yep.
which is a little weird,
Yep.
but we'll take it.
Yeah. I love being a favorite on the road. I'm not sure if this is going to feel like a road game, however. From the sounds of it, there are going to be a shitload of Vikings fans in that stadium on Sunday, which we love. So I think it's going to almost feel like a home game.
Vikings fans, you know what they say? We travel well. And especially for those West Coast games, because everyone's like, oh, I need an excuse to get out of Minnesota. Okay, bye. I know as soon as like the opponents were announced, like I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try and be out there for Vegas. Let's do it. And then the schedule dropped, and then the flights dropped, and then it just zoop.
Yep.
And I'm like, dude, like that was on my bucket list to go to
Well,
the Death Star.
I'm sure I'm hoping you'll have quite a bit of chances here in the next couple of years. But yeah, that would be a crazy game to go to. That place is going to be plump full of purple and gold.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good mix. Um, the Raiders games are actually the most expensive ticket out of all of the NFL as far as like a base average price.
Sure.
So, my Vikings fans, you had to shell out that money, but let's get loud in there. And the road fans are like the diehard fans, because they go, like, you're not just going to be like, oh, the Vikings are in town, I'm going to go.
Yeah.
Like the road dogs are dogs. When I was at the game on Monday against the Bears, like there was people in our section that weren't even standing up on third down. Like everyone was just, and I get it. Like the juice was kind of sucked out early. Like it's the Bears, like blah, blah, blah. Get up and make some juice.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a good showing for Skol Nation on the road in Vegas.
I agree. We got a lot to talk about this week. Our leader, our fearless leader, Kevin O'Connell, announced Josh Dobbs is our guy. We're rolling with Dobbs this week. What do you think?
Bang. I love it. And I might have to tear y'all up here because I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the whole Josh Dobbs, Jaron Hall situation. I know that Josh Dobbs threw 4 interceptions. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. That shit sucked. But he has the most upside. Sure, Jaron Hall looked good against the Falcons. That was 2 drives. Like, and I just don't understand where the argument is coming from about like, oh, you got to give him a chance. You got to see what you got. Yeah. Do you? We're going for the playoffs. Like the Packers are breathing down our neck. Everybody, the Bucks are breathing down our neck. We need to keep winning to keep this position up. And we haven't won in 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a situational thing. If this were a 2 or 3 win Vikings team, I think you definitely look at Jaron Hall more. But I mean, Dobbs has won games. He's won games for us. And now JJ's back. I think Dobbs probably gives you the best chance. It would be fun to see what Jaron Hall could do, because he did look nice for that little bit that he was in. But yeah, I think you got to give Dobbs at least one more week, get him out there with the best wide receiver in the NFL, and God forbid if it sucks, then you go from there. But I think it's going to work out.
Yeah, I think so too, because JJ just elevates things. People are going to get more wide open. It's kind of a tough cupboard to work out of when you have a quarterback that doesn't really know shit, and his best weapon is TJ Hawkinson. Now, granted, he's a great weapon, but to have him as the number 1 without JJ, I mean, his presence is just going to be so much well
Mhm.
worth it. So our boy Dave chimes in here. I believe in our passionate Kevin O'Connell had 2 weeks to prepare a game plan around Dobbs. And yeah, I mean, this is a show up moment for KOC too. I think a lot of the criticism coming out of the Bears game was about his play calling. It wasn't great. He wasn't really moving the pocket, doing great things to get Dobbs working, but that offensive line was not good last week either. So I think everyone's, that was a weird loss and a salty loss. So I think we're going to
Mhm.
come back here with some punch.
Yep, I think so. I think that game was almost a wake up call for everybody involved. Just like, all right, we gotta get our shit together. We get 2 weeks to prepare for the Raiders. And yeah, like Dave said, 2 weeks to prepare for Dobbs. Get that game plan ready. More importantly, get everybody healthy. I don't know if you saw the injury report today, but everybody that's on it was either limited or full. The only limited was Ed Ingram. Um, so get everybody healthy. Let's get out there and just get after it.
Yeah, and it seems like we've been, besides the huge injuries to Hicks and Davenport and JJ, we've been a pretty relatively walking the line kind of injury healthy team. Now the bye week in 7 weeks or 7 days in an NFL season is huge for rest. Like it's everything. So now you roll into it. You've got a good stretch of games coming up here, and you've got everybody healthy. I think that's great news. And moving forward, business is going to be booming.
Mm, I agree.
Also,
We're
with JJ back, we're about to see more of those creative plays at the beginning of the season. Eyeball emoji. Let's
Yeah.
see some trick plays. How about it?
I am so excited to see JJ back. I it, we lost him during the Chiefs game. It feels like we haven't seen him play at all this year. It just, you know what I mean? He's just when he's out there, man, it's just a whole different offense. And I hope he goes for 150 and 2 touchdowns. Just a big old welcome back.
I think he's going to score for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I could definitely see a nice snag in the end zone, hitting a gritty in Las Vegas. Oof. I'm excited to have him back because
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's been 2 months. Like,
Mhm.
I hope that hammy's working. You had plenty of time, JJ. Get whatever you got to do. Throw the icy hot on there. It's time to roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
I
is time to
gotta
roll.
I got a feeling we're gonna see at least one gritty this weekend for sure.
Yeah, I'm. Are we still holding our breath about this one game? I hope that the week off gave them time to get things figured out. We were going into Chicago thinking, okay, maybe this is the Ty Chandler game, and instead he got like 7 yards. But Alexander Madison had some pops to the second level. He had, I think, like his biggest run of the season.
Yep.
So hopefully things moving forward, and like I said, the offensive line, bad game. And
Mhm.
they haven't really had bad games. So this is a time where you take that, throw it away, and turn it up.
Yep. Yep. That last game was against a good pass rusher and Montez Sweat. And this weekend, you've got another guy who was kind of around the discussion for Defensive Player of the Year with Max Crosby. He's a dog, man. He gets in there. So it's going to be a big test for Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw.
Yeah, Max Crosby is actually insane. Like, I think he's underrated in the fact that like we don't talk about him enough because he should be up there.
Mm.
And there's a lot of great pass rushers, but like his moves and his speed, and he just doesn't quit. So, you got to have a plan. You got to chip him off the block. And Brian O'Neill, he's going to have a fantastic game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that game against the Bears was tough offensive line wise. So I'm looking for a big bounce back out of those 5 guys and just protect our guy Dobbs back there. Give him some time to sling it deep to JJ.
Give him some time. I think we need to see some read option. I think we need to see some play action, move the pocket,
Mhm.
get him in space, get him
Yep.
throwing downfield. And we
Yep.
saw the deep field shots come in against Chicago. There was the one that they took right away, and then the
Yep.
one that they should have had.
Yep.
So slowly but surely, it's going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's those first couple weeks with Dobbs were just kind of a mess. We made it work, but I think it's now's the time for things to start kind of clicking with this offense and really get churning. So
Yeah,
I'm
you've got
excited for that.
5 games left. Get churning. Every game, I wouldn't say every game is easy because the last three, Lions, Packers, Lions, now that's looking like a
Mhm.
because of course Jordan Love had to turn it up, and the Lions just keep winning. So
Yep.
it's time to start winning again.
Yep. It's that time of year that this team has to start playing their best football if they wanna make an impact in the postseason. They got to start getting stuff rolling now.
Moving to the other side of the ball here, the Raiders trot out rookie Aiden O'Connell. He's been, I think, fine, but he doesn't really scare me at all. What scares me is number 17 and number 8, because that's a lethal duo. Devontae Adams, as Vikings fans know, has cooked us in the
Mhm.
past. Now, granted, he had a Hall of Fame quarterback, and this is a rookie, but he's still capable of putting up those kind of numbers.
Yep.
And then Josh Jacobs, it took him a while to get going, but he's been really solid over the last couple weeks. And the Raiders are coming off of a bye too. So it's
Yep.
not like we're catching them sleeping. They're back at home. They're well rested. So I think it's going to be a tough test for this defense for sure.
Yeah, definitely. They've also got Jacoby Myers, who's had a sneaky good year as a wide receiver too. Um, I believe it's Michael Mayer, their tight end. He's not bad. Um, so yeah, they've got some weapons. It's just all going to depend on if Aiden O'Connell can get it to him. Frankly, like you said, he doesn't scare me a whole lot, but you know he can. I mean, look what Brock Purdy did last week. He didn't make any crazy throws. He just hit guys in stride and let them do the rest. So yeah, gonna have to make some good tackles and just lock guys down.
Yeah, now that you bring up Michael Mayer, I am a little bit scared. It seems like physical tight ends have always tended to give the Vikings trouble. And the secondary isn't that physically imposing. I think if there's one knock and one weakness, you could say it's maybe that their stature is just not what it is to maybe measure up against some of these physical freaks. And Michael Mayer is a physical freak, and he's started to come on lately. So the Raiders, and like you said, Jacoby Myers has been sneaky good. If you have him in fantasy, you know that he's been very decent. So, this it's going to be a tight game both ways. Like this defense is going to have to keep doing what they're doing. B-Flow is going to have to cook up some weird stuff to really throw off Aiden O'Connell. But I believe in B-Flow because he's been doing it all year, and he's been doing it with assumption of parts. So I
Yep,
think the same will happen in Vegas.
yep, I agree. I say it every week, but Daniil Hunter, need him to have a good game. Need that D line to get rolling. Like to see Harrison Phillips blow up a couple plays. So yeah, it's gonna be a good week. It's the My Cause My Cleats week. So everybody's gonna have some fancy looking kicks out there for charities of their choice. So yeah, I'm excited that we're back. It's good to be back.
It is good to be back indeed. The bye week is something that we all need and to just kind of desensitize, especially after the Chicago game, because holy
Yeah.
shit. But it's going to be good to be back. Late game start. How do you feel about late games? I know obviously it has to be a late game because it's in Vegas, but kind of waiting around for that 3:05 start. It's
Yeah.
always interesting.
Um, I don't know. I don't mind it a whole lot. It's just gonna give me more time to think about everything and kind of get anxious about it. Um, it will be nice though to flip on Red Zone for those noon games and just kind of sit back and cheer for some fantasy football for a while. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think this is our first 3 o'clock game this year, correct?
The Chiefs
No,
game
Chiefs game.
was,
Yep,
but
yep,
that's just because, Chiefs Vikings, let's put that in the late slot. So,
yeah.
but yeah, this is our actual like first, road
Mhm.
forced into that late slot. And I don't mind it either. Sitting down and watching the noon slate is always cool when you don't have to worry about the Vikings because then you can kind of focus on everything else. I don't really focus on shit when the Vikings are playing and Red Zone is on because I'm like, oh, what are the Vikings doing? Oh,
Yeah,
it's kind of like either one or the other. So it's
yeah,
weird, but
right. But yeah,
but
should be.
there's
Sorry, I was
my
just
bad.
gonna say, no, you're good. It should be interesting, man. This team with, like you said earlier, new interim coach Antonio Pierce. The tides are changing over there a little bit. They're just going out there, and the Raiders have been heating up a little bit. So I think it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a tight game, but I think we'll come out victorious.
So if we're saying it's going to be a tight game, you know what that means. It means that it's going to come maybe down to a field goal on either side. And who's the Raiders kicker? Daniel Carlson. What team was he once on? The Vikings.
It's a revenge game. It's a
A
revenge
revenge
game.
game. Have we played them since? I don't.
I think we did once.
I think we did, but I think we blew them out. That was like in 2018 or 2019.
Yeah. I was actually at that game in Green Bay where he missed
Oh my
30
God.
million kicks. I was not a happy camper, as I'm sure you can imagine, in the stands for that one. So yeah, I am gonna be. I really hope it doesn't come down to a Daniel Carlson field goal. Let's just go out there and again, I've said it every week. I just want to fucking kill somebody. Just beat them by 3 touchdowns. I don't want to be stressed the whole game. You know what I mean? It's just nice
Right.
at an end of a game. You're like, okay, this game is pretty much wrapped up. You kind of kick back a little bit. So let's just go over there and kick some ass.
I think if there was a week for that to happen this season, it would be this week. Because you look at it down the road, like it's probably not going to happen to the Bengals because they don't get killed like that, and it's not going to happen in any of the last 3 games. So this is where you do it. Maybe you get a pick 6. Aiden O'Connell looks really bad. Maybe you have a little situation where things start getting heated. Javonte Adams, I'm mad. Why am I not getting the ball?
Yep.
And JJ, like you said, 150, 2 scores. Let's layer it on.
Yeah.
Let's go.
This is almost a must win. They need, because like you said, those last 3 games of the year, Lions, Packers, Lions. This is probably a must win game because the Packers are right on our tail. Yeah, we need to get some wins here and secure at least a wild card spot.
Yeah, it looks like those 6 and 7 slots are going to be where the Vikings end up. I think right now we're currently slated in that 6th seed in the NFC, but the Packers are hot on our tail. If we slip up, they're going to take our spot. The Bucks are hot on our tail. The Seahawks are coming around too. Like you have to keep winning. So this is a must-win game. For a score prediction, I think I'm going to roll with 30-24 Vikings.
High-ish scoring. I'm going to go lower, AJ.
Okay.
Oh boy. I think it's going to be, I want it to be 70-0 Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be 24-23 Vikings.
Oh boy.
It's going to be close. I think the Raiders are going to get a chance at the end of the game, and Aiden O'Connell is going to make a mistake. So we'll see.
I like that scenario. If that were to happen in a late game situation where they have the ball, I favor our side 100 times.
Yep.
Because B-Flow is going to cook something up. He's going to do something weird, throw something at his eyes, and he's going to throw a pick. And that's how it is, dagger. So over under is 40.5. I feel like that's a little low, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you can go too much higher with Aiden O'Connell as their quarterback, and then our offense being shaky the last couple weeks. But with JJ back, that's the thing. Like, I feel like our offense could go out there and put up 10 points on Sunday, or they could go out and put up 35.
Right.
This is the week that we're really going to see what this team's made of, and really see what Dobbs can do with JJ. So I'm excited. I'm ready to roll.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's going to do it here for the show. State of Skol will be live post game after that Raiders game. So make sure that you are up, make sure that you are tuned in, and make sure that you are listening. For AJ and Josh here at State of Skol, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll see y'all later.
See you guys.